Two more defeats for Mansfield Town as the sands of time run out towards the end of the season. Have we got enough left in the tank with one more mini break to come, or are we going to get dragged right back down into the relegation battle at the worst possible time when the Stags, like us on the podcast tonight, lack energy? For spells, the Stags were decent in their games against Huddersfield and Leyton Orient, but unfortunately, football isn't a game of spells, it's a game of 90 minutes. The sad reality of the situation is Mansfield can't last for 90 minutes at the moment, which means two more defeats on the board. With the break this Saturday, will teams around us take advantage, or will they do the business for the Stags without Clough's men even kicking a ball? As always, we'll talk all about that this evening on a reduced version of the Mansfield Matters podcast, because in the last 10 minutes, we've had two dropouts and an already ill host. More on that in a second, so come and join us and fuel the fire by having your say on your team. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans, and you might be able to tell by the tone in my voice already this evening that I'm just not feeling it. And I'm not the only one, because for whatever reason, across the Mansfield Matters podcast land, something has swept through the camp and we are all on the injury bench or in the medical tent, and we just haven't got it in us to go the full 90 minutes. Clough can't be with us this evening due to prior engagements. Nathan can't be with us due to bedtime. You know, as we know with Nathan this season, the 7:30 live shows are just not for him. Cam can't be with us because he's watching Hollyoaks. And Nick can't be with us because, unfortunately, at the moment, he is hugging the toilet bowl, which means that there are only two fully fit members of the podcast squad left, and they are not the people that you are currently watching on screen. I am pleased to report that joining us on the phone, let's say hello, good evening to Jim Evans. Good evening, Jim.
Evening, Craig. Evening, everybody.
A fully fit Jim Evans. Are we all good and rearing to go? Can you last the full 90?
I'll last the full 90.
The man who I'm surprised has actually got some energy after giving it the full Giorgio Mauricio on Tuesday night. Also going to last through the episode is Alan Wilson. Evening, Al.
Good evening, Craig. I missed that last bit. It went off a little bit. Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
So maybe you won't last through the whole episode. Who knows? And I certainly won't last the full 90 minutes. Horrible bit of illness last night. I've had today off work, and to be honest, I'm groggy as anything. Can't be bothered. And you know what makes it worse, Alan? Looking at the results and thinking, I've just watched two back-to-back defeats. I could have done something more useful with my time, like watching paint dry or washing my hair. Disappointing times at the minute.
Yeah, it was one of those. Well, two games like that. We had chances to win both games and failed in both. But I think on Tuesday night, there were two things that was lacking. The lack of finishing on our part, apart from the two goals that we did get. We had plenty of other chances to put the ball in the net and didn't. And the second was top-class finishing from their chap. Two cracking goals, especially the second one of this. I was sat right behind it in the box, and you could see, there was nobody going to stop that. It was a perfect shot for a perfect goal. But, we're playing reasonably well and just not getting the rub of the green, as it were. We just can't seem to last.
And that's a huge problem, isn't it, Jim? The fact that we can't last through games. We know we're going to give it a go for half an hour, but teams have worked us out. They'll just soak up the pressure, and then they just turn up the heat, and we just haven't got the legs to last.
No, I think it's been a problem for a lot of the season, isn't it? The old squad, and it's a copycat league, isn't it? If you get found out, the rest of the league know within 24 hours. So it is what it is. I think, the season's coming to an end. I think we're going to be okay, just about. and it obviously highlights the investment needed in the summer. But I'm just glad that the 6 worst teams below us.
Yeah, I certainly think that Saturday could have a big impact on the rest of the season for sure. We'll look at that later on, Alan. But the reality at the moment is we are 8 points from safety. Obviously, 8 points in front of Burton, who occupy that 21st position spot. They have got a game in hand, meaning they've got 18 games to play for. The one team you don't want in that top of that bottom four is Burton Albion, because that seems to be their speciality. They seem to escape that relegation position every single season.
Yeah, and they've got the chap to do it with them now, haven't they? And that's gone back as manager. So it'll be interesting, Craig, because I'm sure there's a couple that even if Burton do pull away slightly, I still think we've got enough in the tank to sort it. But, who says that Bristol Rovers won't get dragged in? And other teams around us. Northampton had a good result. But, there's like Jim said, there's like 4 or 5 teams either getting the same results as us or worse. So we're in a decent position. We've just got to capitalise on it.
I think the worst thing, Jimmy, is looking at Saturday, knowing we've not got a game, sitting through from 3 o'clock, watching the results come through, goals flying in here, there and everywhere, and thinking, well, if it stays like this, we're going to get dragged into it. Or if it stays like that, we're going to be relatively safe. It's a nightmare scenario to be in. But why do Mansfield do it every single year? We put our own destiny in the hands of other teams.
Well, look at it like this. At least on Saturday, we can't lose on Saturday. So our goal difference isn't going to take a battering. So there's that. It's just like playing on Saturday and losing, but without having a goal difference suffering, isn't it? But to be honest with you, it would have been nice to have been safe by now, but I think we're going to be okay. I think if you're 8 points is a mountain to climb. If you're in that bottom 4, and Alan touched on Bristol Rovers, who can't get a point for love or money. I just think we just got to see it out. It is what it is, and I think I've got faith. I think we'll be okay.
Keep your comments coming in. We need them more than ever tonight. Have your say on your team. Marie says, we're nearly there. Squeaky bum time over the next few weeks. Scrape through and look forward to next season in League One. I think she's right in what she says there, Alan, in terms of it's going to be nervy over the last few weeks, but we need to do exactly what we did last season, albeit, it's a different outcome at the end of it, and that is just hold our nerve, because we know that when Mansfield need to, they will come good.
That was, again, that was cutting off on the gist of what you said. But yeah, I think it's a positive that we've got, a couple of players coming back. Although it's a shame that Craig was missing on Tuesday night, 'cause I thought he'd had 2 decent games, to be fair. It was nice to see Giorgio back, and he came back with a bang, as it were. So I think there's I wouldn't be too concerned. I really wouldn't. 8 points is 8 points. And even if they win on Saturday, they've still got to overhaul us. And I think we've got enough in the tank to get there.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. But let's talk about Giorgio Marie's show, shall we, for just a minute, Alan, because I've got this picture of you in my head of when that goal went in, pretty much on your knees in the PA box, giving it the full Mauricio! Waiting for that moment for absolutely ages.
Yeah, when he'd scored it, I thought, well, when he came up, it was strange, because when I saw George coming out on the subs bench, I hadn't got time to go out, because normally I go and I would say, good luck tonight, George, or whatever, or shake his hand, or, whatever. We have a bit of banter. And I was going to go over to him and say, tonight's the night, George. If you do it tonight, I'm definitely saying it. But I didn't get a chance, because they came out quite early on Tuesday night. So I didn't get a chance to say anything. But when it went in, well, I in dreamland. It was just what I wanted. And fair play to him, because it was a good finish, weren't it?
Great finish. But it's been a long time coming. I'm just glad that it was an equalising goal. If it wasn't, it would have been... I don't think you'd have done it if it was just like...
Everything sent right, didn't it? It came on. We got the equalising goal. It only just come on. The crowd were up. And, there was even a chap on the back row of the seats that turned around and says, "Go on, Alan, you've been waiting for this one." I ain't got a clue who he is, but even he waited for it.
We were all waiting for it, weren't we, Jim? We as soon as it went in, I've sort of like looked over at you and sort of as if to say, "Here we go."
Oh, do you know what? He looked full of beans, didn't he, Maris? He looked sharp when he came on. But he ran away from that chap to score his goal. But,
He did.
Yeah. I just hope he can keep fit. For the last 5 games left we got. I just hope he can stay where he is fitness wise. And I hope Alan can shout Mauricio another few more times. But he looked handy when he came on.
Yeah, he did. I think that's going to be the important thing, Jim, isn't it? Now, we've got this break Saturday. We saw what it did for us in terms of last time we had a break a couple of weeks ago. We managed to get a couple of players back fit and available. Hopefully, it gives us that last little bit of time to have a little bit of relax because we've got games coming absolutely thick and fast over the next few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, don't forget though, Craig. We only really need probably another win, like Clough said. I'd probably say that's probably the most probably what we need. And I'll ask you this question: at the beginning of the season, if someone said you're 8 points above the drop zone with 5 games left, would you take that? And I don't think we'd turn our nose up at that. I think we'd be relatively happy with that.
I think I'd have liked it to be a little bit more less of a sort of biting your fingernails, Alan. I think I would have liked to maybe have had it done before the start of April in terms of being mathematically safe. But I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, and I can appreciate what Carl says in the comments about we've had that quite a few times this year, haven't we? We're different where managers have got the sack or they've relinquished their position, whatever. Just before we're going to play them. And that's happened 2 or 3 times this year. And it's the same again with Rotherham. And like Carl says, Matt Amshaw seems to have got him firing again. But you can only beat what's in front of you, can't you? And I think we do play better away than we do at home. So, when we go to Rotherham a week tomorrow, let's hope it's a positive result.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, let's have a little look at those final 5 games then, Jim, just for your reference on the screen at the moment. We are sort of showing the league table and the final 5 fixtures. 18th of April, obviously Easter Friday, Rotherham away. Tough trip that, Jim. Obviously, like Alan's just referenced there, Matt Hamshaw's gone back in as sort of interim manager until the end of the season. Let's be honest, he's probably assessing the players for Paul Warne to swoop back in on his high horse in the summer, isn't he? And take over there again. But like Alan said there, he's got them absolutely firing, and make no bones about it, it's going to be a really difficult place to go, as it was earlier this season when we played them in the Tonka Toy Cup.
Yeah, I think any game is difficult in this division. I think they've had their little manager bounce, hasn't they? Once Evans is gone, but hopefully that'll run out now. And they're safe. They've got nothing to play for. They're on the beach. Hopefully, I just think it'll be like any other game in League One. Bar sort of Peterborough on Boxing Day. I think they've all been tough. We've on our day we can turn anybody over, and we need to go there full of beans. And even a point would be a good point. And just not think about what they've done in the past. From what I can see, the dangerous teams are the teams that have been losing because they've got a real point to prove. The ones who are on a good run, they're a little bit more. What's the word? They're not as quite at it sometimes, and I think I wouldn't be worried about the form. Really.
And obviously, then on Easter Monday, Alan. Reading at home, who are, of course, still a good side, still trying to, push and hold that last playoff place at the moment. I think they go to Northampton on Saturday as well, so they'll be looking to sort of dig the heels in, and they'll be looking to, keep that momentum up, especially if they're going to be involved in a playoff chase at the end of the season. But it's these 2 fixtures for me, and we'll come on to why in just a second. But it's these 2 fixtures for me, Alan. The Rotherham game on a week on Friday, then of course the Reading game at home the following Monday. We need to realistically be getting either 2 points from those 2 games, or if we can pick up a win in one of those 2, that should see us realistically safe.
Yeah, 100% agree with that, Craig. But you know what Mansfield Town are like. This is the Mansfield Town way, as the saying goes. you watchers, if we don't do so well in the next two, and when we've played Peterborough, who's to say we're not going to go to Birmingham when they'll probably be parading the trophy around and turn them over? It's just be like Mansfield to do that.
I think the interesting thing with that, Jim, looking at the final three fixtures is, although we've got them in really quick succession, we essentially play Wednesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday, or whatever it is, whichever way around it is. I think it's I've got it the wrong way around on screen. I've just realised. It's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. It's a small amount of time to get that, to get that into your system and to get those games sort of out of the way, etc. But both Peterborough and Birmingham, are in the trophy final, hence why the games have been moved. Birmingham have just celebrated promotion, like Alan's referenced there, but they've still got the league title to play for, even though it's pretty much theirs anyway. And then Peterborough will be wanting to finish on a high because they too are not out of the relegation fight just yet. They're on 48 points, 41 games played.
Yeah, and they'll be just coming after a final, so once the adrenaline's gone, there's always a bit of a hangover, isn't there? Win or lose, so... I'm not worried about the glut of fixtures in the last week, because if you put yourself in the player's position, they know they're on holiday in 7 days after, at the end of that week. So adrenaline will get them through that week. I've got no qualms about 3 games in the last week. We just need to do our jobs. As soon as we get this win, the better. Just see it out. And it's all relative, of course, isn't it? It's while the bottom 4 keep not doing anything, it takes the pressure off us. So. Yeah, we can see the finishing line now.
Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team, like Cole says in the comments. Worst time to be playing Rotherham next week since Fat Boy's got the boot. There are a different animal now under Hamshaw. He's absolutely smashing it. Peter says, fine margins, as Nigel is fond of saying, and he's absolutely right. Again, not playing too badly, but what can you do with a goal like Orient's third? Outstanding, extremely frustrating, both for fans and players alike. I think the one thing you could do, Alan, is probably argue that you could get a little bit tighter and close things down.
Yeah.
But it was an absolute worldie of a strike, and you can't help. You shouldn't be scoring 2 goals at home and losing 3-2. There's something not right there.
Yeah, because the first one he scored, he got it in the box and there was nobody really near him, so he'd got plenty of time to pick his shot and place it where he needed to. But like we already alluded to, the second one, well, that was an unbelievable strike. But like you said, it could have been, somebody could have closed him down and then he wouldn't have got a chance to do that. But how many times have we said, in between us and on the podcast, and I'm sure every other fan in Mansfield that goes to one call has said it, shoot on sight. Look what Aaron Lewis did. He was so unlucky with that, and who'd have thought he'd have got anywhere near that from where he was shooting. It's just a shame that we don't do that more often.
Yeah, we certainly need to find our fire a little bit. Let's talk Tumble Dwyer, Jim. Obviously, Dom Dwyer, who's got 2-2 or 3-3, one of the two, and he's been absolutely fantastic since he sort of came in. But like everything else, like the danger is at this time of the season, you pick up a free agent, not having played a lot of football all season, difficult to sort of stay fit when you're on your own as well. And obviously there's a living arrangement situation going off there as well, having come over from the US, etc. But he's given us that little bit of key difference, which we've definitely needed in the last couple of games. You look at the 2 goals that he scored in those last 2 games, a bullet header at Huddersfield, peeling off at the right time, getting ahead of his man and nodding in Aaron Lewis's free kick, and then just being inside the 6-yard box and being instinctive on Tuesday night against Leyton Orient. More of that, please.
Yeah, we've missed that kind of player since Gregory's got injured, haven't we? You look at Evans, he's not really a 6-yard box striker. And since Gregory's been out, we've missed that. And he has filled that hole a little bit. I'm not saying he's as good as Gregory, but he gets in those positions. He's physical, he's experienced, he can finish. He spearheads us, doesn't he? So I think he's been useful, for a free agent. I think he's been doing the business. I think the little things where, like you say, what you alluded to, he's not up to pace, is the fitness and the sort of game off the ball as well. I think it was him who gave the ball away for their second goal, wasn't it? Just things like that. Just not quite up to pace of league football at the moment. But we can't argue with his contribution. and I'm glad we've got him for the last few games.
Yeah, we certainly need to hopefully try and keep him fit, and especially if Will Evans is going to struggle. I know Will Evans gets a lot of stick at the moment. Mainly, I agree with it, it's because he's not been as prolific since, Lee Gregory's injury, but he's still scored some vital goals for us. But a gash on his foot, that's not going to heal very, very quickly. We're going to have to nurse him through their games. And to be honest, he'll probably be better off, stuck out wide on the left-hand side, trying to put some crosses in than he will sort of getting his shooting boots. And I think we've got enough options there to try and mix it up a little bit. But the wrong time of the season to get injured when we need our leading talisman.
Yeah, definitely. But if you look back at I've had a look back at the goal of Dom Dwyer's, or Tumble Dwyer as we call him on the podcast, and his movement was unreal for that goal. When Hewitt, because it looked to me from when I first saw it, it looked as though Hewitt had fouled their defender. But you can see when you look at the replay, he doesn't foul him. He like falls over whatever. He goes by him. But Dom Dwyer's movement was unreal. And, it fox in the box type of thing. And he has proved, a pivotal part of what we need to do. And I hope he carries on in the same vein. He should do.
In the comments, Jim, Carl is a big fan of him. He says Dom Dwyer is streets ahead of ability-wise in terms of the likes of Reece Oates, etc. He's a unit and had a very good career. Couldn't care if he doesn't touch the ball for 89 minutes. If he scores that winner or equaliser, I'm all for giving him a contract. Baller. Would you be giving him a contract, or would it depend on the situation in terms of who's in the dugout and what we're likely to do based on that?
It's too early to say, isn't it? We're going to confirm our League One status. Again, I mean, he's useful, but like I was on about, the rest of his game outside the box and off the ball is definitely not up to pace. So, and the old age thing as well. I'm not so sure. I mean, personally, my vote would be to keep Gregory in the building. So, would I keep another aging striker? I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think we need to be looking a bit younger. But it's too early, I think, to be having these conversations. But my gut, if I was had to answer now, would be saying, not sure. Don't know. I don't think so.
Certainly is. We definitely need to have the conversation at some point. I know there's a couple of comments this evening, Alan, which perhaps have addressed that. Paul's first one, 2 wins in 19 is far from good enough. Any other manager would have had their P45. I agree with that, but I think there has to be, I think there's definitely an amount of trust and patience from the Radfords. And then Melvin follows it up with saying, like what Nigel said on Monday, we need 6 quality players, I think, more to compete in this league. It's an interesting one, Alan, because I agree with the comment from Paul in terms of 2 wins from 19 isn't good enough, and any other manager would have had their P45. And I think we've sort of had rumblings that on this podcast, this might be Nigel Clough's last season. But yet again, over the last couple of weeks, the pendulum has swung back the other way, and Nigel has made lots more references to next season this and next season that. And if we go down that route, and this is the only niggle that I have, we probably won't invest in the 6 or 7 or 8 quality players which we need to compete in this league, like Melvin alludes to. We'll get 3 or 4 and option what is an aging squad. And there's arguments that you say, like a full pre-season for Alfie Kilgore, who, by the way, looked fantastic on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
A full season for Oates, Hewitt, etc. will serve them well. But how long can we hold on to that sentimentality for if we want to build for the future?
Well, it all depends what fingers he's got in the pie anywhere else, doesn't it? I'm sure his brother Simon and all the rest of the crew will be out there scouting and looking for players. And who knows, he might have 6 already earmarked for all we know. Going back to Dom Dwyer, there used to be a player for Stags. I'm sure quite a few people remember him. Jim Lumby, his name was. He was a striker. And he never used to do anything for 89 minutes. But, if you wanted a goal, he was your man who you'd depend on. So I think Dom Dwyer could do a job for the Stags, even next season. I wouldn't be averse to giving him a go.
Can I just...
Go on, Jim.
Sorry to interrupt. The comment about Clough, 2 games, 2 wins in 19. I think the stat that Clive highlighted last week, that our budget is 21st in the league. But really, it shows that he's overperformed this season to be 8 points clear of the drop. And I think we ought to with that stat in mind, we ought to be giving him a bit of leash, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm sure we'll have to talk more about it when we do the end of the season review, etc., etc. But we are where we are in terms of budget. I think we are where we expect to be. It's just that start of the campaign, Alan, but which has sort of set our expectations that little bit higher. The way we were playing against teams, etc., etc. But you have to say, if it wasn't for that start, we would definitely be rock bottom of this league, because without it and without Lee Gregory's contribution, we'd be absolutely up that creek without any form of paddle whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. 100% yet again. But like we said right at the start, because we were playing well. And, teams hadn't found us out yet. And it was only the start of the season. Aging squad probably wasn't getting too tired with the first few games of the season, 10 games or whatever it was. And, we've just been on a slow decline since then. But like you say, it's a good job we got them when we did, because otherwise we would have been. I mean, we're in desperate straits now, as it were, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it certainly could. Keep your comments coming in. Paul says needs Paul Warne in. Different ideas, fresh ideas. That's Paul Beastle, by the way, not Paul Warne. He's not on Facebook touting for a job. Carl says, I honestly can't see him being in charge next season. I think he's taken us as far as he can. And contract-wise, can't keep giving deals to injured players, wasting money on wages. Use it towards real quality, what's needed. Marie adds, Rush Oates back again from this second up, and it'll be a disaster. I don't know. I've just got this picture in the back of my head, Jim. Following his interview last week, he'll just pop up on the bench against Birmingham or something and come on for like 2 minutes, score, and then get injured.
I won't say I've given up. I'm sure the lad doesn't want to get injured, but I don't think he's very bright either. You look at some of the injuries he's had, and a lot of them are self-inflicted. And I think we need to move on from Oates. I mean, back to Clough again. I mean, I've been critical of Clough as anybody, but I think a lot of people, given this gig this season, would not be where we are now. I think a lot of people would be firmly in the relegation zone. And to his credit, I know this is me sort of sticking up for Clough tonight, I guess, but he brought in Gregory. He was manager for the first half of the season when we were getting points. So really, I think he's earned, like someone said it his evening with the club, he's earned this struggle. And if he keeps us up, then he's done a fantastic job. I think we need to temper our expectations a little bit. Yes, we'd all have to have been safe by now. But realistically, we're probably about as good as we could have been. And we need to get behind him. And I say after this season, then look at things going forward from there. But at the moment, let's just concentrate on this season. I think you can't fault what he's done, really, looking at the bigger picture.
I don't think there's any question, Alan, on the fact that whether or not we are behind him. We completely are. For me, I'm behind him for the next 5 games, and I'll forever be thankful for what he's done for us. Like I say, it's a conversation for the end of the season, but there are little things in there about saying, about the whole safety thing. We should have been safe by now, regardless of that start. That run of games where we were losing games and playing badly, something had to happen within the dressing room or within the way we were setting up or within the way we were playing to be a massive part of that. Yes, I know you look at, Dave missing, etc., and other players missing, but there are factors which lead to that, and it's simply not good enough. We should have been safe now, and if we go down, which I say is a huge if, it's all our own doing. There's nobody to blame but us.
No, I agree. There's only us got us there, and there's only us can get us out of it. But it's like when we played, when we were there, sat there at Northampton, we lost 2-0. It was the lowest of the low, wasn't it? We were so low that day, and then look what happened. And it was same to a certain degree. I know we haven't gone on that winning run again, but what do we do? Did we win 3 on the trot? Was it 3? After that, after that abysmal run we had, we went where we'd run 3, and then we've gone on a bit of a bad run again. But like we've said before, it's not that we're not playing well. If we weren't playing well, I would be, quite worried. but we are playing reasonably well. It's just that we're not getting the results because A, we've got aging players that don't seem to be able to last 90 minutes. And B, we can't, apart from Lee Gregory, when he was fit, we can't seem to put the ball in the net unless it's Dumbledore,
indeed,
who only came, remember, because of Nigel.
Yeah, and the fact that we had several injuries and we needed a body through the door. A little bit like we did. Nigel Clough sort of came out and said, "I don't care what positions we sign, I just need 2 players." And we did just that. I need a player, and we did exactly that. Laughable at times. The whole situation needs addressing, says Carl. If he's going, he's going. If he stays, then great. I'll not lose sleep, whatever happens. No one is bigger than this football club. Yeah, absolutely. And Paul also says, can anyone see where the next point is actually going to come from? The answer to that question, Paul, is I certainly can't. But that's the beauty of watching Mansfield under Nigel Clough. Expect the unexpected, because that is just exactly what happens. Look at last season when we had that little bit of stumble towards the end of the season. We went to MK Dons and thinking, we've blown it. They're going to turn us over. We're going to lose out. And then we turned them over. And, the rest, as they say, is history. So under Nigel Clough, expect the unexpected. Right, so we're going to turn our attention back to Saturday. Obviously, no game for the Stags due to that cup final between Peterborough and Birmingham. But other teams are in action, Jim. Burton in 21st are at home to Huddersfield in 8th, who are 4 points from the playoffs at the moment. Crawley in 22nd have Leyton Orient in 9th at home. They're currently 5 points from the playoffs, having beaten us on Tuesday night. Cambridge, they host Charlton, who, of course, are currently 5th in the table. And then a little bit of a dead rubber from Lincoln's point of view, but a huge game for Shrewsbury, 24th, sitting bottom of the league and in desperate need of a victory. They've got Lincoln away on Saturday. And then the teams sort of in and around us, Wigan in 18th, just below us, have Wrexham at home. Wrexham need to win to widen that gap between themselves and Wycombe and keep their back-to-back documentary script alive. Northampton take on Reading, who are 6th in the table, the last playoff place they occupy at the moment. And, of course, Bristol Rovers, who are falling quicker than what Mansfield were. They've got Exeter at home. They're 15th, are Exeter, and a win for them would put them pretty much all but safe. So I actually think, Jim, without us kicking a ball, it could be a huge afternoon for the future of Mansfield Town on Saturday. Results go our way. I wouldn't say we can put our feet up and relax, but it certainly takes a whole heap of pressure off. But if results don't go our way, then oh my God, to coin a popular phrase, have we got some work to do?
I don't think it'd be panic stations, personally. I mean, look at those fixtures you just read out, Craig. I mean, I'd take that. I'm quite happy that the teams around us are playing the teams that they are. I think those fixtures have worked out quite nicely for us, really. But yeah, I don't think even if they all win, we're still 5 points. 5 points is still a lot, to get at this stage of the season. And I won't panic. There's no doubt in my mind some of those teams around us will lose on Saturday, and we only need 4 of them to be beneath us. So I don't think we should panic. We're going to get this extra game. We'll get it in the last week. I mean, the benefit is we'll know what we need to do. But I think the weekend where the picture will become clear is it next weekend, the Easter weekend, Friday, Monday. I think that will sort the landscape out somewhat, I think.
Well, let's hope that we come out of it unscathed. Final comment from Richard before we take a break says, my main 2 worries are that we seem to have an innate ability to keep a clean sheet. I think we've only kept 6 clean sheets all season, and as good as Dave and Cargill have been. And the second worry is our home form, which is diabolical. It's not been the greatest of places for us this season, Alan. And I think, like Richard says, as good as Dave and Cargill have been at the back, we have struggled to keep clean sheets this season. It is certainly something what we need to address regardless going forward, and address very, very quickly as well, because, we have got goal scoring capabilities about us, but if we can stay tight at the back and we just draw our games, that'll do. Clean sheets is more important for me at this stage of the season than what scoring a goal is.
Yeah, definitely, because you know as well as I do, as every other Mansfield Town fan, you keep a clean sheet and you're going to at least draw the game. And plus the fact that while ever you've got a clean sheet, the other team's still got to keep coming out at you, which will allow us to get that break, which we seem quite, available at doing, especially when Elliot Hewitt's firing. So I thought he had a very good game on Tuesday night. But that's another one who cramps up, Hopefully he has a good pre-season next year. But yeah, the home form is quite worrying, to be fair, because we just don't seem to be able to do anything at this present time.
That's it. Right, we're going to talk more about the stadium and other bits and bobs right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these on the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield matters. You're back with the show. Fans by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield matters. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Let's continue to talk about all things off the pitch as well. We're going to talk Bishop Street in just a minute. But, Jim, the club have today released their online vote for Player of the Season. Voting is now open for the 2024-2025 Supporters Player of the Season, sponsored by A. Woodland & Sons Flooring Specialists. The winner will be announced and presented with his trophy at the club's annual awards dinner in the Radford Foundation Marquee on Sunday, the 4th of May. And to cast your vote, you can go to the website. I've heard there's going to be a top-class presenter that night, Alan.
No, I have no idea, Craig. No idea who's doing it. The gentleman from Sky did it last year, so whether he has been, asked to do it again or not, I'm not sure.
I thought you were doing it. What's the thing you were telling me about the other day?
No, that's the sponsors afternoon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, where the people who've sponsored people, have these signs, shirts, and photos took and all that sort of stuff.
No, fair play. But, that one will have a class presenter. The other one will be questionable. Jim, I've got a big debate to be had here, and I've got a big plea to the people of the internet. I want to see whether you agree with me, and that is quite simply, do not vote for Dave to be Player of the Season, because every time we get a Player of the Season, Supporters Player of the Season, the next season they either get injured or they become shit.
I think our friend Dave's made a different stuff, though, isn't he? I don't think that'll be a problem for him. I don't think we need to even discuss Player of the Season. I think he's ran away with it, hasn't he?
He has run away with it, but Alan, considering the curse of the Player of the Season award, give it to anybody but Dave.
Yeah, but people won't, will they? He deserves it, and it's like Jim says, he'll be fine next year. When he signed, was he a free player?
Yeah.
Did he sign 2 years? Do you know, or is it one of those with the option?
I think he's got an option, but I think it's 2 years with an option anyway.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say because he'll be here next year. He'll be firing on all cylinders. Don't worry about that.
I'm just trying to find it now. So just trying to see whether.
But what a free signing, eh? It just makes you wonder how, what the situation was at not Bristol Rovers, Burton Albion, who he came from. Whether he were playing in the wrong position or he just didn't get on with their style of play. I just can't. It's just one of them things, isn't it? You can't believe it, and yet it's been outstanding for us.
Was indeed a 2-year deal, by the way, but I beg to plead you at home. Do not vote for Dave. Think of what happened to Elliot Hewitt. Think of what's happened to Aidan Flint. Look back historically at all the Player of the Season with all awards that we've given. Please don't vote for Dave. Yes, he is the best, as alluded to by this.
Dave's been the best one. DJ, best signing, best Player of the Season.
But we'll honour him on this podcast by referring to him as Dave and giving him all of our awards and plaudits. He doesn't need anything else. He's got a new baby. He's loving life at the minute. Don't give him the Player of the Season awards. Vote for somebody like Rhys Oates. Give it to George Williams. Give it to Christy Pym. I don't care. Just don't give it Dave, because I don't want the curse of the Player of the Season award to happen to Dave. Also, by the way, it's about this time of year where we get asked when we're going to start doing our awards. Like every season, we'll do our end of the season awards at the end of the season. So on the penultimate show of the season, we'll give our nominations. Then you'll have a week to vote, and then we'll reveal the winners in our end of season review podcast. We can't give awards yet or make award nominees yet because there's still 5 games left. Anything could happen. So we'll have to wait for hours. But please, on the club one, do not vote for Dave. Speaking of all things club, Alan, Bishop Street update today from Sid Pepper. Another fantastic video. Progress is being made, although it might not seem like it. And the consensus that I get from it is it's slow and steady progress, but it's now at the point where it perhaps should have been when the work was first started, in terms of it's just a building job now, and it will hopefully have a little bit of hopefully be ready for the start of next season. But as ever, Sid doesn't want to put any times or dates on it.
No, you can understand that. And I just thought it was really interesting when it was getting to the last 5 minutes or so, when he was on about that facing wall. And he says, well, just look at that. Take that, for instance. That's 50 grand. And it's unbelievable how much that must have taken, how much the whole cost of it. Because like he's alluded to, he's had to do this, he's had to do that, he's had to do the other. It's just phenomenal what he's had to put right before he can actually build it. And it made me laugh when he said about the keen-eyed people who sit in the Bishop Street eventually will say to me, well, Sid, it's not straight. It was quite comical, that, but I did enjoy the video. It's a good thing. And Steve had got his little Tonka toy out on again.
Yeah, certainly had. To have those little things, Jim, from the club, though, a nice little insight again. And it's those little things which you don't think about that we need to be kept informed of. And I've got to give Sid his credit. He's been very proactive in doing that, as I've there's some lovely footage and some lovely explanations of what's been going off.
Yeah, they didn't have to do all that, did they? So it's nice to see behind the scenes and stuff like that. But they may as well call it the Davis Keeley Dunn stand, don't they? Because he's paid for it.
Essentially, yeah, that's where the bulk of the money has definitely come from, which is, what we expected, Alan, because like we said time and time again, even though that money could have perhaps been spent on 2 players, it's pointless because that's not how we sustain ourselves as a club. What we do sustain ourselves as a club is to be the best out there and to be self-sufficient, and putting the work in to gain us, I think, around between 700 and 750 extra seats week in, week out, and that'll benefit us more in the long run than anything else will.
Well, I just think it's quality what he's done or what he is doing, and I think it'll be really nice once it's done. When it's finished, you can see the final product. It'll be really good, and then we can just carry on. Hopefully, once that side's been done, concentrate a bit more on the playing side and the playing budget, which I'm sure will be available.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're going to turn our attentions to other things now as well. Jody says, I wondered whether they'd lost the spirit level. Maybe, but at least it's going to be open and going to be up and running. Right, we're nearly done for tonight. As we said at the start, it'd be a shorter one, but we have had some questions about podcast predictions. And as we aren't going to be predicting for the next 2 games because we've got a break, I thought I'd do something a little bit different when it comes to podcast predictions. Cue the whispering jingle. So can you be the master or an embarrassing disaster? In this guessing game, there's a simple aim. It's outguess the rest and be the best. Win, lose or draw. Do you know the score? Who will be your hero to make sure you don't score 0? Yes, it may be fiction, but this is Podcast Predictions. Right, podcast predictions time, and we're not going to be giving our predictions for the next 2 games. We'll wait for that, but I'm going to give you a update of the table from bottom to top with 5 games to go. 87 In 87th place, I'm not going to read out what place you are in, but I'm going to work upwards. There are a few people on minus points, and they are Phil, Philip Jest, and Roger. Phil is on -5, Philip Jest and Roger on -3. Then we've got Jamie and Frank Ebrington on 1, Matt Webb's on 2, Wonder Wally 13 on 3, Tim Taylor on 4, David C3 also on 4, as is Johnny Rossen and Robbie MTFC and Kenny Warsop. On 5 points, Lee Nicholas and James Dixon, Steve Kemp, Batman, Michael Gillett, Steve Edwards, Jimmy F13 is on 7, Stuart Morrell, Ben C on 8 points, Andy Branson, Wonder Wally 5, Wonder Wally 68, Dan B on 9, Neil Dallison, Tim Phillips and Wonder Wally 8 on 10 points, Joel Dolman on 11, STGER Mansfield on 14 points, Dave S on 18, as is Tank, Daniel Green on 19, Matt Green, not that one, on 19, Keely of Her Game 2 on 20, Nathan Edge on 21, Tom Parry on 25, Dennis Sims on 27, Charlie Rafferty 33, 36 points is Lee Wyatt, 38 is Jason Witham, The Gate is on 41, as is Jay Clark-Housen, Gabby Avson is on 43, Ben Allen on 45, Liam Marriott on 48, as is Archie, Steve Yull on 56, Kerry Crump on 64, Sam Pateman on 82, Nick Welsh on 85, Ryan JC on 90, Adam Crump on 91 and Chris Ellison on 98. Wes then on 108, Cam 129, Matt W 137, 148 is Paul Broomhead, Limbo 74 on 160, Ashley Mutter on 167, Jim Evans. Guess how many points you've got, Jim?
Oh, not many.
183. Stags Chat on 197. Roger King is on 201. Simon Wilson on 239. I'm on 246. Danny Warsop's on 249. Stephen Pounds on 251. Otley Stags on 260. Ben Swain, the podcast predictions guru, the PPG, on 266. Olivia Wilson on 268. Sarah Stronach 271. Proud Stags 271. Marie Wilson 277. JS 282. Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts Fame 289. Kiwi Stag 293. Will Pound 299. And then we're into the top 10. Keely of Her Game 2, 304. Ian Brown, 310. Kathy Holmes, 322. David C, 324. Fathead, the current reigning champion, is in 6th on 330 points. Dan Bauer in 5th on 335. Clive Parkin in 4th on 366. Alan Wilson in 3rd on 370. And then Darren Wood in 2nd on 378. Leaving Steve Nady in top on 383. As always, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, the link that you need is in the description, and you must submit your guesses no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff on your respective games.
Content loading. Selecting game. Game selected. Players stand by. Impromptu penalty shootout.
We can't not have a game to entertain us, can we, at the end of the podcast? Now, I've been saying for weeks that we've been trying to do the end of Let's Get Quizzical. And I was all geared up to do the semi-finals tonight because it would have been Nick versus Jim and Clive versus Cam. But they're not here, so I can't. Which means I am going to do a revived version of the playoffs for 4th place. Now, As you may remember from weeks ago, Jim and Alan were in the playoff together, but Jim wasn't around, and Cam did the playoff game on Jim's behalf by guessing a number. Jim, are you happy with replaying the playoffs so you can put the fate in your own hands?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
What we're going to do is I've got 2 envelopes in my hand, Jim. I want you to select left hand or right hand.
Left hand.
Okay, left hand it is. So I'm going to put the right hand back. In this envelope, I have got 10 questions, and we are going to do a penalty shootout style, where it's going to be Jim versus Alan on the questions. Now, as Jim selected the envelope, Alan, you get to choose whether you would like to go first or second on the first lot of questions, or second. It's going to be a penalty shootout style. It's as simple as that. Do you want the first set of questions, or do you want the second set of questions, Al?
Second.
Okay, Jim, you're up first.
Okay.
So let's take on the penalty shootout. Okay. Jim, Frank Gallagher is the lead character from which Channel 4 drama which first aired in January 2004?
Is it Shameless?
Correct answer puts you 1-0 up. Alan, to make it 1-1, Kim Marsh, TV actor and presenter, is perhaps best known for being a member of which noughties band?
Hearsay.
1-1 it is. Jim, John Virgo co-hosted which popular snooker-themed quiz show?
Oh. Don't know.
Have a guess, Jim.
Pot Black?
Oh, it was Big Break, so you've missed. Alan, what is the chemical symbol for gold?
G.
Incorrect. It stays at 1-1. Jim, how many faces does a dodecahedron have?
Is it 12?
It is 12. 2-1 to Jim. Alan, to make it 2-2, what is the capital of France?
Paris.
Paris it is. Jim, which football club plays its games at Loftus Road?
Queen's Park Rangers.
Alan, to make it 3-3, Matt Goss, Luke Goss and Craig Logan make up which band?
Oh. Not sure, Craig. I don't know that one.
Have a guess.
Bros.
Are we allowing that, Jim? I clearly heard a voice in the background.
Jeanette was shouting that.
What you want?
I'll allow it. I'm going to allow it because it makes attention. Right, so 3-3. Sudden death already, Jim. In which year did Big Brother first air on Channel 4?
2000.
Correct answer, Alan. You've got to get this right to stay in the game, and I must insist.
Yeah.
Mrs. Wilson, please. According to the McDonald's website, how many calories does a standard Big Mac have?
Yeah, right.
Get off Google.
350.
The correct answer, Alan, you were 200 out, was 550, which means, Jim, you have won the penalty shootout.
Well done, Jim.
4-3, which means you will go through to the semi-finals, and you will indeed face Nick in the semi-finals when one of you is available. Right, that is all we've got time for tonight. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Your final message?
Keep calm, carry on. Everything will be all right.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jim. Speak to you soon. That's Jim gone. And Alan, my thanks to you as well. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. And my thanks to you guys at home for watching and for listening as well. And sort of indulging us on what has been, I'm not going to say a struggle tonight.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, Gons. But it has been interesting either way. The big question, though, it is, with no game on Saturday, can Mansfield Town re-energise and hope that results go in their favour as we approach the final 5 games with the same objective as before, to stay in Sky Bet League One. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time as we look back on a busy Easter weekend and look ahead to a final 3 games. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. We'll see you again soon. Good night.